role in neck. Typically, we use it for oral cavity cancers and staging of lymphadenopathy. In the skull base region, this patient has a juvenile nasopharyngeal angiofibroma, an 18-year-old male suffering from a skull base tumor. Again, here combination of CT for bony anatomy and MRI for soft tissue anatomy as well as vascular anatomy is the best way to go. Carotid body tumor like this, the surgeon needs to know whether the vessels are encased or displaced. So doing a combination of tumor imaging and angiography is the way to go. In the chest, CT is far superior compared to MR, and typically CT is the investigation of choice for almost all the chest pathologies if you ask any chest physician. What CT can do is it can differentiate small airway disease from large airway disease. It can detect interstitial lung disease much before it can be detected clinically as well as on X-ray chest. It can characterize the lung mass better, benign versus malignant, and stage the tumor in the same go. Medacial masses can be better demonstrated. Infections and trauma can be also better assessed. So differentiating septal thickening from lymphangitis carcinomatosis, septal thickening which is caused by ground glass opacification, or pulmonary edema caused by cardiac failure can be assessed using MRI. Again, differentiating hypersensitivity pneumonias and PCP is possible using high resolution CT scan, as is most of the conditions of the lung airway disease like emphysema. Infections like tuberculosis, healing versus recurrence can be assessed using HRCT. Chest trauma, if you are looking for rib fractures which may not be seen on a plain X-ray, pneumothorax can be assessed very early and accurately using CT scan. In abdomen and pelvis, if you are looking at benign tumors of the liver like cyst or liver abscesses or hydatid cyst of the liver, CT is the way to go. Again, benign conditions like hemangiomas, by doing triple phase contrast CT, you can differentiate benign tumors from malignant in most of the situations by the way we look at washout of the tumor and the contrast. Again, staging of cholangiocarcinoma, staging of CA gallbladder, CT is the way to go. Pancreatic tumors again can be assessed very accurately using CT scan. MRCP, which is done using MR, is used to look at the biliary anatomy very well. So level of obstruction in CA pancreas or Klatskin's tumors can be assessed accurately, and we can give a roadmap to GI surgeon to treat these patients accurately. Differentiating adrenal tumors, benign adenoma like this versus pheochromocytoma, combination of CT and MR is useful. Acute abdomen, there are several conditions which may not be seen on ultrasound or plain X-rays. We used to do standing abdomen for several years to look at acute abdominal conditions. But looking at very, very small organs like this appendicitis here or appendicular abscess here, CT is the way to go with or without contrast. In the pelvis, combination of CT and MRI is useful. So if we are looking at calculi in the kidneys, calculi in the bladder, CT is the way to go. If you are looking at pelvic trauma with bladder injury, again 3D CT is very, very useful. You can see small rupture of the urinary bladder here with leakage of contrast in the peritoneum. So accurate assessment of pelvic injury, soft tissue as well as bony, CT is useful. However, if you are looking at staging of the cancers like CA cervix, CA endometrium, MR is superior because it gives you better soft tissue resolution, better assessment of involvement of rectum or bladder in the same go. As CT has gone very, very fast, you can catch the contrast as it enters the arteries. So using that technique and taking 0.6 millimeter slices with about 80 to 100 cc's of contrast injected at a rate of 4.5 ml per second, you can get angiography of the entire body between 5 to 12 seconds, and that gives you intricate details the vascular surgeon would need. So you can do CT angiography which can show stenosis of the carotid artery, aneurysms in the circle of Willis, AV malformations very accurately without having to catheterize the patient. MR angiography is useful because we don't inject any contrast, and in patients with hyperacute stroke, it can tell you whether any major vessel is getting blocked. But resolution of CT angiography is superior to MR angiography, and it happens in a matter of few seconds. Because of that, aneurysm of arch of aorta like this, aneurysm of abdominal aorta, and common iliac vessels like this can be accurately demonstrated. And if the patient is going for stent graft, exact measurements of the graft which are made for each patient separately can be given very accurately. Dissection of aorta, which is a lethal condition, can be detected without having to catheterize the patient very accurately. Inflammatory conditions of the aorta like aortoarteritis can be assessed accurately. Circular aneurysm of the start here can be shown accurately. The supplying arteries and draining veins can be shown accurately. Also, after the patient is stented, assessment of stent graft, linkage of aneurysm can also be done in a matter of few seconds. In musculoskeletal system, fractures of complex bones like pelvic bones, 3D CT is useful. Again, area around the humerus, 3D CT is useful. But if you are looking for meniscal tears or soft tissue injuries like rotator cuff tear or cruciate collateral ligament injury, MR is superior to any other imaging modality. A little bit about recent advances in CT scan. Because you can scan these patients very fast, CT perfusion is possible. So we can see the perfusion characteristics of infarcts, whether the brain can be reperfused in that area, or understanding the perfusion characteristics of liver tumor, pelvic tumors is possible by doing fast injection and fast characterization, fast detection of these tumors in the arterial, venous and capillary phases, and draw the graph of perfusion of each organ, which can allow you to assess the characteristics of the tumor. Without having to inject any dye, you can do functional MRI, which will allow you to identify the dominant cerebral hemispheres, eloquent areas in the brain, and their relationship with the tumor. This patient had astrocytoma in the temporal lobe, and the surgeon wanted to know where the speech area is. So we could demonstrate that the speech area is displaced by the tumor and not infiltrated by the tumor. So again, without injecting any dye, you can assess accurately what is happening to the important areas in the brain, and whether the tumor is compressing them or involving them can be assessed. You can do virtual colonoscopy, you can do virtual bronchography, which can allow the surgeon to look at polyps and cancers without having to put in a scope in the rectum or bronchus. This is our own case of polyp in the descending colon, which we could demonstrate very accurately, and its relationship with the wall of the colon. Whether that wall is infiltrated, whether the polyp is going out, if it is cancerous polyp, can be assessed very accurately. Also, we can look at lymph nodes, and spread of the tumor anywhere else in the abdomen can be assessed in the same go if you give contrast to these patients. Virtual bronchography is useful to look at normal anatomical features and variants, tracheobronchial stenosis, bronchogenic carcinoma, how much it is infiltrating the bronchus, endoluminal lesions, foreign body can be detected doing without having to put in a scope. You can do virtual CT guided bronchoscopy. There is a new technique where we use two CT tubes, one with high energy and one with low energy, which allows us to remove the bones and highlight the plaques very accurately to differentiate high-grade plaque from a soft plaque. You can assess the lung perfusion in patients with chronic lung disease. You can characterize the renal stones better and differentiate them from one